All right, I think I'm live. Wait a couple minutes, people to get in. I'm not gonna wait for anybody. What's going on, people? This is welcome to my first attempt at a live stream. I've never done this before, so hopefully it goes well. And it's like something I'd like to continue to do as time goes on. I'd like to do regular installments of this podcast. Well, first of all, anyone who's watching that's a new subscriber, I had a big uptick in subscribers, at least big for me, over the past month. It's shot up about 200 people, which is pretty good for me. And thank you to anyone who joined. It seems to be mostly because of the mushroom video that I did, which is like a year old at this point. It wasn't because of any new content I put out. But thank you for coming from that video, and I would like to put out more content concerning psychedelics in the future. But there's just a couple things I wanted to discuss. First of all, I wanted to talk about the Portland riots, the most recent Proud Boy versus Antifa situation. Back when the Battle of Berkeley happened, I made a video that was critical of both sides, basically condemned both sides, because what I saw was Antifa had been antagonizing, and then the right, what are now called the Proud Boys, tentatively or vaguely, they used the same tactics that Antifa was using back against them, and it turned into just a nightmare. People were injured, and they were pushing dumpsters around. It was just it was almost hilarious how silly it was. And I thought at that point the meme was dead. I thought that both groups had kind of seen the error of their ways. But that's not what happened. In Portland, I know this is a couple weeks old, but let's just go through this video. This is a montage of that event. From a bunch of different angles, so we'll watch this and go through it. First of all, this guy here in the fucking Kekistani, it's pretty cringy, man. I'm sorry. It's funny, but all right. And then you immediately have, it's so crazy. They just turn the corner, and there they are, like. And it's immediately screaming. And this guy, immediately, what? Like, just trying to act all hard. I mean, look at him. But they didn't keep walking, the Proud Boys. They could have just carried on with their fucking march. But once again, what we're seeing is it's the mirror image of Antifa. It's just as absurd. And this is what I tried to say in the last video I made about Berkeley, was that it was wrong for them to engage them using the same tactics, because then you're just as bad as Antifa. And it's not about free speech anymore at that point. You're not using your speech to express yourself. You're sinking to their level and using their same tactics, and you're therefore now as low as them. And that's exactly what happened again here. Immediately, it's aggression. It wasn't. There was no. Let's just keep watching. Okay, immediately shouting. It almost feels staged, and I'm not trying to get into some conspiracy shit, but look how. Fuck you. Dude, these people hate each other. And they don't even know each other. They're citizens. They're fellow citizens. Okay, and we have some sort of mortar. Like a firework, a shitty firework. Here comes my favorite. They're throwing the pop things that you give to infants on the 4th of July because no one can injure themselves with them, and they're fun for babies. They're throwing Antifa's throwing handfuls of those things. Like, it is the most childish shit. The silliest shit. What does this sign say? Depart from evil. Something about Jesus. It's like a rainbow flag. That's pretty funny. That's good. We have a guy like that who protests. We put on a zombie walk in my city every year, and there's always a guy with a big sign that it's too busy. You can't read it. He needs a better graphic designer. Dude, you got to get those big, bold Westboro Baptist Church signs that just say God hates fags and has a stick figure butt fucking. That's modern art, and that's how you make a goddamn sign, because someone driving by is going to be able to see that and know exactly what it means. Not this busy shit that you can't even read. Too many words. More handfuls of those popper things. And I don't know exactly who... Oh my god, it's so fucking stupid. I don't know exactly who the first one to really step over the line was, but look at this. It looks almost like it was the Proud Boys that pushed the line. And then it's just swinging and kicking, the clumsiest chimpanzee behavior. Indiscriminately just throwing fists. Oh, dude, that guy got fucking wrecked. Damn. And this chick just runs away. She's like, oh, what? I didn't know this was gonna happen. Because this giant Chad just comes at you. What are you gonna do? I think that was the same guy that throws the big heavy punch heard around the world later on. But it just descends into, there's nothing. Like, from this point forward, you've lost. Both sides have lost. No one's point is going to come across. No one's going to understand. No one's going to have a discussion. No one's going to see it from another angle. It's now, all of you are written off. You're done. You have nothing more to offer. And at this point, and everything's so partisan at this point that it's almost like us and them, no matter what. So I feel like I got pushed pretty far to the right whenever the left started losing their minds. And so I would find it easier to justify behavior from the right that I wouldn't have justified on the left. And that was a good marker for me to know when I had become too partisan and, entrenched myself in maybe a little bit of ideology on the other side, to where I would not condemn behavior on my side that I would on the other side. And I think we've come to the point where we have to condemn this sort of behavior on all sides. It isn't like a battle for Berkeley or a battle for Portland. That makes it sound like noble. It's really not. It's just guerrilla behavior. Look at just a fat guy laying on top of another guy. Yeah, see that dude? Well, he threw a kick. Let's go back a little bit. He comes up and then boom, he gets. That was a solid kick there, Antifa guy. Not a bad kick. Oh, and then it's on. They blur it out, like someone took the time to blur out The masked faces of Antifa? Why? They got masks on. Why are you blurring their masks? They've done like the whole group here is just a blob. Taser? Is that a taser? Oh, this shit right here. Okay, I think... Is this bitch poking at him with the American flag? Is that what she's trying to do, or was she taking it from him? Okay, I can't tell who's who anymore. That's what I'm saying. It's a mess. It's just like a bunch of maggots. No one... You can't... It's just... You can't discriminate between who is who at this point. Maybe I'm just stupid, but they all look the fucking same now. I guess this guy's in military. I guess he's a proud... But look, they're just... Look at this. They're just punching that fucking guy. Look at the anger in this woman for this man that she doesn't know. She's never met this guy before. She is just so possessed by ideology or whatever she believes, or she's angry at her fucking husband left her for a hotter woman, and her kids hate her and her job sucks, and she is putting all her eggs in this basket and letting it all out on this dude's face. Or she hates him because he thinks differently than her. And that's enough for her to justify beating him in the face. And like trying to... It's sick, man. Yeah, holy fuck is right. Look at that guy with the sign. The dude's still walking. Bottom right over here. Zurich still got the sign. Dude, he's dedicated to the meme. He's all about it. And look, that dude's got a fucking length of pipe. What side is he on? This is the most retarded shit. Like, what do you think they're getting done by doing this? Someone's gonna die. I mean, people die all the time. That's enough. In comes American flag guy to stomp him a few more times. That's enough. Let him up. And then what? Like, has your point been proven? Whatever point you're trying to make. Antifa's getting fucked up pretty hard right here, though. This chick right here. Antifa got wrecked. I didn't even realize how hard they got wrecked. But they're definitely eating a lot of punches. Someone's flosser dropped their floss. Oh! Like, should we go in? Oh, and then the guy comes flying in. They got sticks and mace. Where are the fucking police officers, dude? Where? They know there's going to be a march. They know there's going to be a counter march. Where are the fucking cops? Why do people have mace and lead pipes and sticks and, minor explosives? Where's the police presence? Because the police should have just had beanbag guns just fucking just popping everybody, dude. That's what should be happening right now. But were they told to stand down again, like previous protests? It didn't look like there was any path for the march. There weren't any barricades set up. The street looked empty besides those two groups. Where are the fucking police? Air horns, by the way, because that's intimidating. You would hurt my ears. You're trying to damage my hearing. You're playing the long game. 20 years from now, I'm going to be like, fuck, that air horn was loud. Okay, they just threw a glass thing. You can hear it break. Cool. Cool, dude. People are just, it's like sport, man. This is the Coliseum right here. How many of these people do you think would actually murder or tear someone apart, like given the chance? If there were no consequences to be had, do you think one of these people would just reach into their stomach and pull their guts out? Ah! And like scream, you know. Like, that sounds pretty cool. Your exposure's a little high, bro. This is all white people now. It's just white. Okay, are these police? No, these are just vloggers. This is just... so dumb. Oh, fuck. It's got by their hair? Trying to pull their mask off or something? What? Look at that. That fucking fruity dude in the glasses right here with the like half painted face. Just like punches this dude in the side. What? It's comical. It is comical, but it's also really depressing and unfortunate. Okay, is that the police right here? Just like waltzing up, like, oh, okay, excuse us, excuse me. Don't kill him, is that what he said? Okay, now the police rush in. The guy's with the sign. He's still right here. He's got the fucking sign. I didn't see this before. Oh, the dude, he is on the meme for sure. I love it. Actually, let me make sure I'm still... I'm still live. This is bad video settings. All right, let's keep going. This guy, dude. This guy's never... Look at this guy. Oh, I mean, I don't know that I'd be much better, but don't try and look hard, dude. Nice try, fucker. What? What is he hitting him with? The American flag right here in the middle. He's fucking hitting him with the flag. Do you not think maybe your message is getting a little lost here? Maybe? This dude. This is the one. This is the one we've all been waiting for. The highlight reel. Okay, what does he have? He's got like, looks like a baton of some kind. Maybe like a car antenna. Like part of a golf club. And that is the guy from the beginning, I think. With his long sleeve shirt under his short sleeve shirt. He can do what he wants. Boom. And brain damage. And permanent brain damage, or so I've heard. It would make sense. The way he hit his head on the concrete. And he's done. I mean, his glasses went flying too. Boom. You can't see the impact, but that could kill a person very simply, very easily. Yeah. I heard it was permanent brain damage. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, it's some kind of baton. Like a stick. Yeah, gender equality. Look at you standing next to this. Look at you, Tiny, with your cigarette in your hand. You fucking wretch. Hey, that's his. Don't take that. Yeah. You would get torn in half in like a second. Okay, so how does this end? How does this resolve? It's almost over, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, it's the police! Hey, the police! Woo! Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it. Some of this stuff is my daughter's. I don't watch Spelling Bee Challenge Minecraft. Okay, I'm not that guy. All in all, a complete shit show, and nothing good for anyone. These are just the extremes of each side that no one really wants anything to do with. Just out there comparing dick size. I don't know what they're doing. It's not noble. It's not interesting. It's not nuanced. You're just making a damn fool of yourself. Don't go out there. If you're going to march, march. Make a point to march. And be an example of what you're supposedly marching for, which is free speech as far as I understand it. Yeah. Don't do that. I think it's a mess, and I don't see the next one being any better. Someone's going to get fucking murdered. All right, moving on to the next topic is something a little more personal to me. Let me see if anyone's even fucking watching this. No. It's personal to me. It's John Castleman. So where I live, about a mile from where I live, there is this statue of John Breckenridge Castleman. Sorry. And he helped found the park system that runs throughout the entire city. It's an elaborate park system. He helped found that. He served in the army. He helped reform the Fusionist Party in my city, which was basically all the people who felt disenfranchised or displaced from various political parties. They all came together. Anyone, Democrats, Republicans, anarchists, fucking commies, everybody kind of came together under the banner of these other two groups are crazy. It's kind of something we need right now, actually. We need people, these displaced folks, to have a place to go. Anyhow, there is this statue of him about a mile from my house near one of the major parks. And there was recently a vandalization of it. Let me see if I can find the very first one. Oh, this is the most recent one. He's got, clearly he's got orange paint thrown on him. This was the most recent one, orange paint. And then they also spray painted racist. There you go, racist and traitor on the statue. And when this happened, I didn't know who the guy was, so I looked him up. And the only real grievance anyone can have against him is that when he was 19 and into his 20s, he served in the Confederacy. It's documented that he was anti-slavery. He served in the Confederacy. And that's why everyone wants his statue taken down. There's also a rumor circulating that he segregated the parks, when actually, according to research that was done, he helped integrate the parks, and no segregation laws were passed until after he was dead. But because he happened to be in the Confederacy, you've got massive protests. Not even massive. Look, that's not massive at all. That's barely anyone. But as we know, this very vocal minority of outrage enthusiasts makes it their job to get pissed off about shit they know nothing about and call for the destruction of an over 100-year-old statue that is standing in this city. And because they're so loud and obnoxious and throw around words racist all the time, it's just the whole language game of the left is a whole nother topic that I don't want to get into right now. But racist obviously is one of their go-to trump cards that is meant to silence any opinion. And so now we have a statue that's been covered in paint for like 6 months. And they issued this statement saying, this is a blurry ass picture, public art, basically saying that they're going to hold some meetings and decide the fate of the statue. And you're welcome to come to these meetings. So what did I do? I started attending the meetings. And what I thought they were going to evaluate this statue, talk about it, get input from the community, and we're going to decide what to do with this statue. And obviously I went in with like a 3-page speech, and I thought it was going to be all about the statue, but what it ended up being was far worse. A committee had been formed to essentially craft a value system under which all public art and monuments, present and future, should be judged. An entire value and moral structure based on, as we'll see, equity and inclusivity and diversity, the typical, again, language games that the left plays. So this was their report. It's finalized. I went to 3 meetings. I got to speak twice, and one, they pretty much cut me off and stopped me from speaking. And I left flabbergasted, like jaw on the floor about what had just happened. And most of the time, this sort of stuff happens in other cities, the protests, the statue removals, but it's all starting to hit pretty close to home, and it's unsettling me to a great degree. So this was submitted to the mayor. The committee submitted this to the mayor. This is just like a cover letter. We'll skip past that. But these are their findings. So the first finding is that monuments are not history. That's finding number 1. Tell me how in the hell you can come to that conclusion. Because the following paragraph right after it doesn't it doesn't justify it or bring clarity to the statement that monuments are not history. There's nothing in here to back that statement up. And it's the most boldly absurd statement in this whole document, which is saying something. And we come down here, monuments and public spaces become sanctioned versions of history. We're talking about versions of history now, folks. Not what actually happened, not what we can research and discover through documentation and newspapers and just history. Not through the investigation of facts can we come to what actually happened, but rather it's just a version of history. And look, I know people like Peterson talk about postmodernism all the time, and I don't want to go down that same path because I'm just going to sound like I'm parroting what he says, but this was the first instance where that's what came to my mind, was this idea that it is a version of history. Even objective fact is malleable in the face of this ideology. Even objective reality is subjective. And we're on some very thin ice, some very quicksand. But then we go on, however, monuments are often part of our art historical record. So are they history or are they not history? You cannot directly contradict yourself like this and then submit this to the mayor. These were doctors. These were PhD having adults. And this is what we're dealing with. Let's see. We're gonna go through this at a fairly quick rate. Must reflect the demographics and composition of our city as a whole, which how you can do that in a single monument, I don't understand. Should be tasked with representing a shared history. You'll see as we go through this that the language is just completely vague. It's as inoffensive as possible and therefore completely lacks any truth or conviction and is just hardly says anything. This is one of my favorite lines right here. Those in positions of privilege and power have largely determined that history and the public that it addresses. So what you're saying is that people in positions of privilege and power have largely determined history, what is and is not history. What these people fail to realize is that they're talking about themselves. They are the ones in the positions of privilege and power. They're part of a government arm, a committee tasked with formulating this document that will essentially decide the fate of monuments. They are in the positions of privilege and power, and they are quite literally determining what is and is not history. Monuments are not history. That's what you say. So the very positions that you are denigrating here, that's you. You're deciding what is and is not history. Someone's going to be writing a document like this about you in 100 years. You can't get any more just blind, just willfully blind, that you are doing the exact thing that you denigrate in your document. Should strive to make monuments as physically and programmatically accessible as possible. Consider the application of universal design principles. Okay, so I said this at the meeting too. I looked up universal design principles because I didn't know what they were. And it turns out they're used for designing interiors of buildings for like handicapped people to navigate and for like children's playgrounds. So it's this idea of being able to access everything, no matter, your size or your disability or whatever. But it has nothing to do with monuments. Like you're describing like a child's art exhibit encourages active engagement. You're talking about a child's exhibit at like a science center You're not talking about a monument. You're not talking about a glorious, powerful, inspiring, epic piece of art, which is what a monument is. I mean, the history, it goes back to just, you know how you feel when you go in like an old church and you look at some of these buildings that are designed to take your breath away. Or up on a pedestal is this beautiful statue of, Christ or a saint or Mary. It's designed to inspire and feel larger than life. And that's what monuments are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you feel the impact that this person had, and that they had enough of an impact in their day to cast them out of stone and metal and put them up high. It doesn't need to be some tiny thing on the ground that you can touch. I don't know why that idea is also denigrated. That by having someone up on a pedestal that we call great, it might make someone else feel not so great. So we don't want to admire someone that way. We'd rather cater to the person who might not feel so great rather than admire the person who deserves it. History is complex. Oh, you don't say. Some historical figures and events provoke pride, others shame. Public interpretations of history should not shy away from the latter. This is fine. This actually has... No, it's not fine. A bronze figure towering above a city street gives the impression that the city celebrates the entire life of the figure depicted. Maybe? I don't know. You can't say that for everyone. Controversial figures. Dude, who are you going to find that's squeaky clean, especially 100 years ago? Why are we judging yesterday's actions by today's values? Why are we doing that? Arnold Toynbee, he had some kind of quote. Part of his theory of decay or collapse, societal collapse, was that we can't solve new problems. We become so obsessed with solving old problems that new problems happen so fast we can't solve them. And that's what I think about with this shit, is that people are looking to somehow reach back into the past and correct some atrocity from the past. And we're going to miss out on very pressing shit that is happening right now. A world that's moving faster than we can keep up with. And, just look at history, man. It's full of atrocities. I don't know. Criteria for evaluation. Is the principal legacy of the subject depicted in the monument fundamentally at odds with current community values? Secondary and tertiary contributions may tarnish a subject's legacy, but whenever possible, monuments should be evaluated based on the principal legacy. New facts about historic figures will come to light through research, and old facts will take on new meaning as our community evolves. Keep that in mind, because we're going to come back to that. New facts about historical figures come to light. People's minds change. Yeah, that's fine. Is the subject a potential rallying point for racist or bigoted groups? Never has there ever been a rally around that statue that was by a racist or bigoted group. There's no reason to believe that it would be, because it hasn't been. And no one... The issue is... Well, we'll come back to that. Sorry. Should reflect us, not some of us. Again, how are you going to craft one monument that reflects everything everyone holds dear and believes in and thinks and feels? Let's see. Whenever possible, the city the city should pursue the conservation of historical sites rather than the celebration of figures. This is because historic sites are activated through interpretation and reinterpretation. They demand active, engaged historical analysis rather than passive commemoration. Unlike monuments, which rarely benefit from historic... I'm hearing myself in this... Unlike monuments, which rarely benefit from historical contextualization. That is in direct contradiction to what they just set up here about how new facts come to light, old facts take on new meaning. So right here they say, right here it says that you can reinterpret statues, you can reinterpret their meaning, and it'll change as time goes, as it's probably changed over the past 100 years, the way people felt about this person, and will change in 100 years from now. And then it says they rarely benefit from historical contextualization or interpretation and reinterpretation. So another direct conflict. And here we go. And not only perpetuate the history of privilege and power. Again, privilege and power. And I missed a couple where they just use progressive, compassionate, equitable, and inclusive. All in a row. All in almost one sentence. Progressive, compassionate, equitable, and inclusive. And I asked them to define each of those, and they didn't. They couldn't. It's like, how much more obvious... When you see these words repeated over and over again, you have to start questioning what the hell they actually mean and why these seemingly emotionally based, poorly conceived social doctrines are being forced towards legislation. They haven't been able to happen organically. They're being pushed into legislation. All because of a very vocal minority of people. But even beyond this document, just the meetings themselves. The first one alarmed me more than I thought because it was, again, about crafting a value system, and a value system based on equity and inclusivity and all that sort of thing. A value system based on leftist principles, leftist ideology, and their language games, these words they use to hide their actual agenda. And then so by the last meeting, I was fed up, man, and I was trying to go really hard, but I realized that they had already pretty much made the decision that they wanted this statue to come down. And twice, one of the people said, it doesn't matter what it says online, what you can read about this person. It matters how people feel. And you can't tell someone that the way they're feeling is wrong because of such and such fact. And I just wanted to scream, yes, you fucking can. Because your facts have to inform emotion. That's the only way you can do that. And if someone's feeling a certain way about something and they are presented with facts, the idea is to assimilate those facts into your opinion or your worldview and then therefore change that opinion. It isn't to double down and tell people, well, how you're feeling is the most valid thing, even though there's facts that dispute it. Once again, it's this muddling of objective truth that seems to be the next frontier for this movement. Is nothing has any intrinsic meaning. It's only power games. It's only because of the people that are in privilege and power is the reason we have these statues. Not by any merit, not by anything he's done, not by earning it, but because he was in a position of privilege and power. And it's like, okay, well, how does someone get into a position of power? Like, is everyone that's in a position of privilege and power? Are they there because of some inequitable act? Are they just pieces of shit? So we want to give these people who want to act like they have the moral high ground, that if they were in positions of power, they would be helping, they'd be the ultimate humanitarian. They'd be feeding everyone on the street, and they'd be going to Africa and like breastfeeding little babies and shit. You're not going to do that. No. And the chances are you couldn't, because you don't have the gall. You don't have the balls. You don't have what it takes. Most people don't, to lead. And all you want to do is tear down people from over 100 years ago and rewrite things how you want them to be. And one of the guys in the committee was like, he's like, look, we're going to submit this, but I hope that I get to talk to the mayor, because he said, I think that most people's outrage about this is based on a lack of research, and also that Castleman did not segregate the parks, but rather integrate them, and that's false. And that's been going around in local newspapers. They've been printing that multiple times. And the other people in the committee just stared at him like he had just committed the worst sin, like he had gone off script. They were like, no, this statue needs to come down because it's making a handful of people uncomfortable. Like, that's the best. This statue might make some people uncomfortable. That is the best reason they have for taking this down. Like, there's no better reason. And yet there's enough facts to dispute it. And they still look at him and say, they looked at him like he was crazy, because he was going to try and convey fact to the mayor. And I left there with my heart in my stomach, man. I was like, I've been to all these meetings, I've given these speeches, I felt like I was contributing something. And then I left there feeling like, oh, this was all just a big ruse. They just set this up to appease the public, to make them think that they had some kind of input, or that their opinion mattered at all. And by the way, 95% of the people that showed up at those meetings, which it wasn't a lot. I mean, the meetings I went to, there were no more than 25 people probably. And that was probably the highest meeting, down to about 10. 95% of them wanted the statue to stay, and they came armed with facts and research and newspaper clippings, and anywhere from people who, like me, who tried to approach it from sort of almost a philosophical kind of level, and then a dude who was talking about the legality of it, that, oh, the city actually doesn't own these statues, it's owned by the community, and you coming to take this statue would actually be against the law. To art lovers, or art historian guy who was talking about the person who had made this statue and why it is important to the history of art. Because I think there's a potential that this thing's just going to get destroyed. This over 100-year-old thing's just going to get destroyed, because it's probably cheaper and easier to do that than it is to preserve it or put it in a museum or put it in it belongs in a museum. What am I saying? Anyhow, I left there feeling extremely disheartened. But on the 3rd of this month, I didn't see the article until today, actually, because I just don't pay attention. But the mayor of the city came out and said very clearly, this is not a Confederate monument. It's not we had a Confederate monument removed from the U of L campus probably less than 10 years ago. It was a big tower, and it was a Confederate monument, and it was on the campus, and they took it out. I didn't even know about that at the time. But he went out of his way to say, look, this is not a Confederate monument. We will still evaluate it, but it is not a Confederate monument. And I thought that was pretty good of the mayor to come out and say that, because it isn't a Confederate monument. It isn't a monument to the Confederacy. So I was happy to hear that. I thought he was just going to roll over on the whole thing and be like, yo, dude, get rid of it. And we've had some Occupy ICE people down at the ICE headquarters. I kind of went down and fucked with them a little bit. I was going to try and make a video, but it didn't really turn out. But yeah, they had Occupy ICE people, and he's been kind of the cops have been lenient on them, actually, which is they've let them do their thing. And it's kind of, they're not towing their cars that are double parked or they're not paying for the meter. They're parked. Have tents set up on the sidewalk, and they've been lenient about that too. They're letting them practice their free speech and their right to protest, which by all means, dude. I'm glad the cops are doing that, and they're still trying to demonize the cops. They're just being, all cops are bastards, hashtag and chinga la migra, which means fuck the immigration or fuck the border police or something like that is like their hashtag. They're out there. Again, it's the people that are really that have no desire for discussion or nuance to their opinion. They're just there. Abolish ICE, period. We will not negotiate, but whatever. I don't even know what I was talking about. The cops. Oh, because Mayor Fisher, our mayor, has also been lenient on the ICE, has been like, we want to reform ICE, and they keep saying, no, abolish it. And he's like, we're going to reform it. So he's been balanced. He's not totally bending knee to these people. Actually, I think that's all I wanted to really talk about. I just wanted to get this going and do one of these because I've been telling myself that I was gonna for a while, and I finally did, and it feels good. I finally got a little bit of a setup. It's not the best, but it's enough for now. And it's the same way when I started YouTube. It was like, just fucking make a video. It's gonna look like shit. It's gonna sound like shit. You're gonna feel it out, but the most important thing is just doing one. And so I wanted to do this, and hopefully do these in the future because I want to improve my ability to public speak. And even though this isn't public, but it's speaking to people and sort of speak on the spot, come up with commentary and ideas and thoughts on the spot. And also as a way of pouring out more content because I usually end up spending way too much time on videos. I kind of went away from the just sitting in front of a camera doing commentary to kind of making more higher concept videos with animation and stuff. But I want to do more of that, and this would be an easy way to talk to you guys directly. And I don't think I have any viewers, but whatever. But I have a couple scripts in the works that I'm working on for the channel that are going to be, again, sort of higher concept things. And then I just thought of a third idea while I was actually getting ready for this video. And I also, since so many people came for the psychedelic video, I would like to talk more about that stuff as well, because I have tripped since then, and I tripped before then, but that was kind of the pinnacle of my psychedelic career at the time. And I intend on tripping again very soon. I need it. But I would love to discuss that. I would love to just do Q&As with people, have discussions, have, multiple people on a Skype and just talk about stuff. Really, I enjoy doing this. But more content will be coming out. I hope some people watch this and enjoy it. I guess that's it. Thanks, everybody, for anyone who watched this. I think I'm the only viewer right now. Thanks, me.